Hello, my friends. Aliens, Bigfoot, cryptids, ghosts, spirit beings. What's that all about, right? First, I would like to say this. Your greatest grandfathers left you a manual, a sort of guide to help navigate through crazy world. And they left accounts of such unimaginable and fantastic things and events that happened to them in their time. They also included in this manual, there were explanations and warnings of what they described to us as monsters and dragons and spirit beings not of this world. And there were other manuals that existed too, but sadly, many or most of them were lost in time, or just stolen by those seeking the power that was held within them, and not much of them are left now. And someone had the sound mind, thank God, or the future knowledge of events that would take place, and to make sure that they kept them safe for thousands of years. They were told to lock them away, seal up these words until the time when a generation, far from theirs, would see these same things again. And a time will pass, and they will need this manual, and it will be read and understood by all those with eyes to see it. So, every year, thousands of mysterious and unexplained sightings of Bigfoot, cryptids, aliens, and lately giants are reported. Things like weird beings, hybrid sorts of animals, flying orbs and crafts, lights of all kinds, and oddly enough, countless alleged spirit beings or ghosts. Of course, most of these we see are merely a prank, and you know how the news does it. They get the most uneducated, unpleasant person that they could possibly find so that people would make fun of them. It's a joke. But what about the things documented by what we call professional observers, like the military, the police, air traffic controllers, pilots? Now, most of the time, if they do see something, they just don't report it. And whatever strange thing or event that they witness or they're a part of, well, they don't want to be labeled incompetent or unfit for their job because imagine you can't fly a $50 million airplane if you're seeing little green men that no one else sees. And for some reason, the timing is just kind of weird to me. In 2013, UK's Ministry of Defence released UFO files to the public, thousands. And most of all, the reports were just some sort of lights in the sky, really nothing concrete. However, some of them were crafts and beings and strange things that was happening. In 2016, the US did the same thing, released thousands of declassified documents too. Most of them, too, a bunch of lights, same as UK. But there was a few actual crafts and beings and some strange, really strange stories that they deemed fit to record. Now, the footage that they released was just a ridiculous throw them a bone moment by the government. When Congress was asked, them to questions that they felt were necessary, right? Just normal, common questions. No one knew anything. And if they did, they just refused to say it. Or they would say, only in a private setting, I'll answer that. Well, that struck me as odd too, because all we saw was a grainy black and white infrared flying whatever, right? Just a crappy SD version of these pilots chasing it. But like every other time anyone films these objects, they found the best thing to match what we in our heads always think of. The horrible camera quality, the graininess. I guess they thought that would give it some sort of a quality. Right? I don't know. They were looking for something there because this is how I feel it. This was the best they had, right? On reveal day. Okay? Let me explain to you. You remember how for years Bob Lazar had claimed he worked privately for the U.S. government, at Area 51 even. He claimed that the U.S. was in possession of many types of crafts, even ancient crafts, right? Aerial crafts found in an archaeological dig, thousands of years old. Imagine that now, with what you know now. The U.S. government called his allegations false. And he's a liar, and they denied he ever worked for them. They ruined this man. Think of how many people in the past were imprisoned, right? Killed, laughed at, dismissed as crazy, right? How awful. Think about that. All the stories that we know of. It's their fault, too, these clowns. But Bob Lazar, he was finally proven to have been telling somewhat of the truth, it seems. He has credentials and tax documents, and apparently the U.S. government has admitted. He's just one of hundreds. He's one of thousands of people who've made such, crazy claims throughout history and just been told, oh, he's a liar. But I just got to ask this. What's the deal with our military? They seem to be the main backers of all this, selling out on us like that. Shame on y'all. Aren't you our military? The world's military. Everyone's doing it. It's not the U.S. It's not just Canada. It's not just Great Britain. It's everyone. They're all doing it together. They're buddies. But you're not supposed to be a separate entity like that, free to do as you please. I mean, I wonder who gave them that kind of power, right? Imagine that. I find it questionable. Because of the alleged technology that we possess, think about it. Everything is, constantly being monitored. Our oceans, airspace, everything. They even have satellites flying around in outer space, remember? In all these years, I wonder, the disclosure was so minimal, grainy, crappy, low definition infrared. That's it. TikTok has better videos. Come on.
Come on, man. What are we talking about?
Where's the good stuff? Is it hidden from us for some reason? I say they have it. Good or bad, they have it. And it's completely hidden from everyone. There are a selected few. I wonder who gives them that power. Who told them? I mean, who blessed them with that kind of power to withhold that? This little secret society of buddies constantly playing D&D with each other. Ridiculous. I knew something was up when the pansy U.S. politicians didn't blink an eye at people. Listen, they did not say nothing over UFOs flying in restricted airspace above their heads, right? Imagine that. Tells you a lot. And when people were being reported missing around these national parks, right? Countless of reports. And at the same time, reports of, I don't know, Bigfoot, cryptids, or whatever were documented. It seemed off to me, right? All these people disappear. How's that okay? And the accounts of the beings in the woods wouldn't have been associated in some way? Who knows, right? It seems likely, but the fact that they don't even keep up or keep track with how many people are missing or come up dead or whatever in these national parks, it's just, well, the answer given is, oh yeah, we don't do that. People, come on, it makes my eyes go up, like The Rock.
Right? Come on, man. Come on.
In the past, it was documented and not just unidentified things, right? Dare I say monsters, we call them, were written down thousands of years ago. And these things were alleged everywhere. There are temples even with dragons and dinosaurs and beings of all kinds cut and carved into solid stone. There are scrolls and manuscripts and letters and writings from all over the world throughout time of even a war fought by two factions of beings not of this world in aerial battles, missiles included. And yes, it's a fact that if one digs into the accounts worldwide, man has always documented happenings around them, and like these, since the beginning. Basically, we see it's not a fad of, some kind that just came in, but a continuation of the same events or things that happened before to this day. So what's it all about? And do we know anything to explain it? I believe so. You see, our grandfathers left us some words because apparently they say that the sons of God, as they were called, were flying around. It doesn't say how or in what, but Enoch seemed to think that if they didn't stop flying around, that God would see them and be upset, allegedly. Also accounts of what we're told of strange flesh, they call it. Not human, but countless stories are told, and they're carved into the stone as well. But it's all been dismissed as fantasy or fairy tales. But how could this be, right? I cannot accept that. Why would we go to such lengths to just bullshit each other? It doesn't make any sense. To me, it's a lie. Take, for instance, the biblical flood. Now, you professors and scientists, listen to me. Have you ever wondered what exactly they meant, or the alleged angel meant, when he said to Noah to not allow anything walking upright into the ark? So, some walked upright. And before the flood, we see that all sorts of accounts of strange beings or monsters, right? All over. Dragons, giants, cryptids, half-breed men, beasts, dog men, werewolves, gontigua, whatever you want to call them. Everywhere. For what? Were these people insane? How about the scientists and the biologists? Have you ever heard the stories of the Watchers mixing the blood of all the species on Earth, creating abominations and monsters and hybrids? Did someone 4,000 years ago just think that up all on their own? Or did they actually witness biogenetics kind of taking place, right? Because allegedly they'd created huge beasts and had a bunch of potions and like so-called like alchemy. They explain it very well from what they can explain. Apparently or allegedly, men and women even had sexual intercourse with this strange flesh and had offspring. However crazy and insane that sounds, it's claimed, but not by just one account either, by many, many scriptures and stories all over the world of the old world. That doesn't seem like something to lie about and know that it'll be lied about for generations to come. Maybe. We even have recent proof of giants. Now, I don't agree with everything there, but this is a good man, Mud Fossil University. Now, before I spouted it off to you, I went and fact-checked it, and it's fact. A few years back, he turned in a 36-inch fingertip, a petrified fingertip, of a giant that was, to scale, would be over 100-something feet tall. He had the DNA tested, not just one place, at a couple places. The results came in, and it was for Homo sapien, human. That's not a joke or a hoax. That's fact, right? Now, there's many scientists like him that's doing things that are off mainstream. But now, did the scientific community jump on this new discovery? Nope. Nothing to see here. In 2017, Devil's Rock was being studied. They used LiDAR and ground-penetrating radar to map a 7-mile wide root system under the structure, suggesting it was not a volcanic formation after all, but a giant tree, suggesting it may have been 10 miles tall. Imagine that. And they're so unique, we see them all over the world. And no, your eyes do not deceive you. They're trees, just like we were told. And the angels, or whomever they were told, cut down those trees. And some looked like they were done with a saw. Imagine that, gee. And throw them into the great deep, he said. And to leave the stumps so that they can be seen. Imagine that too, right? So why are these things not addressed by mainstream science? Can they not see it? The professors and the doctors, the archaeologists, the paleontologists, all of them. Why are they not all over these things? Well, I believe it's money. It falls back to money. It's the root of all evil, and is a reason why we were told that. Because these colleges and their professors, archaeologists, and all of them, they're paid a lot of money for papers saying how much knowledge that they're taught. Stamped. Official. Right? And with this evidence, their degrees and teachings are a complete sham. The evolution and the things that they're created on how this works, it's false and utter nonsense. Right? The wisdom of the world is foolishness. That's why it's not brought to light. How many people have spent, thousands, millions, how much billions of dollars have been given to these colleges to teach people, to receive these credentials from them? Millions of people. Therefore, it will never be willfully admitted by any of them, anyone in charge, that facts like this exist or evidence disproving their teachings of astronomy, archaeology, biology, or any other field of science that they offer knowledge for money for. Come here and learn to become a professor or a doctor and be certified. Is it a cover up? Hell yes, it is. How is it not? There's too much evidence that exists proving that the mainstream is covering up everything, including our past. The normal person can see this for themselves. There's too much evidence, and it proves that our grandfathers, they knew. And there were people in their time trying to hide it, way back then. You see, it's hard to control the world's population if only one God exists and we're all in a closed system, right? Brothers and sisters, no one could be fooled if everyone knew the truth. If science, what? I can't say that. If certain scientists were not so corrupt, these answers would be available. Not all of them, but mainstream 100%. However, think of this. How many people would lose their gravy, nonsensical jobs? How many people's degrees and years of study, colleges, would become worthless? Think of the consequences of admission to falsely teaching evolution to the masses. And they paid you for hundreds of years, some of these colleges. The consequences alone to your space and your universe, right? Think of what chaos would result if everyone knew it's all bullshit. Folks would lose their ever-loving minds. How many people rely on their knowledge, right, for money that's taught to them? How many companies would close the next day? How many people would absolutely flip out? It'd be pandemonium, right? It'd just be crazy. Talk about a reset. You think people are crazy now? Imagine that day. Tell a mad scientist that all he knows is a lie. See how that goes, right? That's why I believe that we'll never know the absolute truth. See, don't be disheartened, because in a way it's a blessing and a curse. Because we're told people have a choice. They can choose. You either believe or you don't. So it's not like there's no choice for everyone. And those who, I guess are worthy, the meek, I don't know who they would be called or considered. Smart people? I don't know. I don't consider myself smart or meek or any of those things. I have no idea. But I don't think the bad people get to win, okay? I just so you know, all throughout history, bad guys did not win, okay? They might have won temporary, the good guy always wins. So I'm really not even worried about it, right? Because one day we'll wake up, right? And I don't know. I mean, until that one day that thousands of people post it to Twitter, right? TikTok, YouTube, right? Live video of like a being or a giant eating somebody in the streets of New York, right? Or a cryptid chomping people in the park. Yeah. Then everyone will believe, right? The world will change. Am I right? Show a dragon in LA ripping a dairy farm to pieces, right? With his new unthawed dinosaur buddy eating cows. That will wake the sleeping giant for sure. Maybe, right? I don't know. But until then, right? It's all business as usual. Oh well. Bless you all. I'm Wild Dog, and I am out of here.